Well, hello everyone. It's your host, Jestero the Jester. And on today's Jestero show, we're gonna see if we can get some discussions and debates going. Now, what you see here for this background is actually a place of respite, a place of recovery from all the mental torture sometimes. But yeah, I really like this place. This is like a Chinese painting is what I'm in, a good meditative place, very peaceful and tranquil. And now we're probably going to find some not so peaceful and tranquil. That's what happened last night, at least. It got pretty hellish, honestly. But what I am going to say is I do hope for some pleasant conversation as well, too. Even if it's a debate, it doesn't have to get heated. It doesn't have to get spicy. We can have agreements and disagreements and not be at each other's throats. So, I will bring the good vibes, I will bring the information, and maybe I'll even learn something myself as well. But okay, let's go ahead and get started. See ya! Okay, shh. Now this is an instance where there are people inside. I think I saw a foot at it looks like a foot at the door. But anyways, I'm going to put my foot in the door, kicking it down. No, I'm just kidding. But, we're going to go in and we're going to see if there's anyone that wants to have a debate, have a discussion, and I will be full transparency because that's what's fair, honestly. I'm going to ask them, you above the age of 18? I'm recording a video for YouTube and TikTok. Do you consent to being in that recording? And then the third part is, do you believe in God? And if so, what God is it? But let's go ahead and head in there. We'll be right back. I have actually found a gentleman that would like to have a discussion today. And from the vibe check, pretty respectful dude. So I think this will be a great conversation. This will be the first discussion / possible debate on the Jestero show. All right, cool. So, Cass, before I explain my position, thank you very much for joining me today. Neon, thank you as well, Little Moth. Yeah, thanks for the show. Okay, cool. So, Cass,
hi, show.
Can you please explain your position? Like, you're a theological perspective. Like, where do you stand with religion?
So for me, there seems to be a obvious set of order to the universe. Based upon the evidence that's been displayed, there seems to be intelligent design. And when I look through the historical consistencies and the scientific I'm gonna stop trying to use cool big words. Let me just.
I like cool big words, though.
I'm gonna be very smooth. I'm gonna be very smooth, Bamer, about this. When I look at the way that things are, the Bible, so the books that are in the Bible, set up kind of like a really good explanation for all these things.
Okay.
Now, me personally, I've had personal experiences. I know that doesn't mean anything to other people.
But they're still your personal experiences.
Yeah. Sure, yeah, and but I mean, I'm not gonna say that that's evidence. It's evidence to me. Yeah.
Right. I like that. And you are a Catholic, Christian?
Well, I would say that we should be Theophilus or Christianos, which is the original titles for us. Denominations are just our particular flavor of Christianity.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Theophilus and Christianos are the original titles. So Theophilus, brothers in the faith. Christianos, followers of Christ.
Damn, and see, this is why I have these conversations, because I just learned something new.
But if you were to put me in a box, the closest thing to me would be Baptist. I did grow up in a Baptist church for a little while. Then I went atheist for a little while, and then I came back to the faith. But I'm mostly closely aligned with Baptist.
I gotcha. That's actually what I was. I was Baptist. Now it was very weird kind of Baptist upbringing. I was a Christian for 10 years, and so when I was a Baptist, we were moving like every 3 years of my life, and basically it was like, okay, let's go to the church that is close by and just that is there in our town, because sometimes there'd be multiple to choose from, sometimes there'd only be one. So it was hard to say that I was called a Baptist, but it was hard to say what denomination I actually did fall under mainly. And of course, like, I didn't really see myself, even though I believed Jesus died for my sins, resurrected, had faith in God. I believed all that, but I still didn't feel like a real Christian. Maybe I wasn't. Even though I was like, I believe it was Paul that says it, where it's like, John 3:16, just straight up John 3:16. It talks about like believing, those who believe won't be condemned, and those who do not believe will be condemned. Is that correct?
John 3:16. Let's read it.
Yeah. Also, what's it called? For transparency on this as well too.
I believe that's it. Yeah.
What version of the Bible do you read from?
I happen to really like the King James version. I don't like condemn other translations. I think that there's things to be garnered from the other translations. Obviously, if we're going to like talk about the Bible in like, if we want to be nerds about it, we want to get like down to the real nitty gritty.
Yeah.
We would not only have to go into like the original languages that
Of
it's
course.
written in. We'd also have to talk about how the manuscripts work, how we got our translations, and then like what these things meant at the time as well. So that's going to be like really nitty gritty. But I mean, I don't mind going there. We can. But I like King James the best. Yep. In short.
That is interesting. What's it called? I pull from the Society of Biblical Literature Study Bible, for which is the NRSV UE.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
It's actually, I have been reading from it for about, I'd say like the past 2 months, and I particularly like this translation, especially starting with the King James, NIV.
Mm-hmm.
I started with the NIV.
Okay.
Don't go there.
Okay.
NIV is a horrible translation. They purposefully changed like what the words actually were. Even like from the King James Bible, like they will read differently, and it changes parts of what the meanings were intended to be originally. Like one time it says, gods, and it changes it to nations because they're like, well, we can't say gods in here. I forget exactly where that verse is, but we can talk about it another time. I'll go ahead and read John 3:16 though.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, so that everyone who believes in him may not perish but have eternal life. What's it called? Let's see here. That's right. It was verse 18 of John 3:18. Those who believe in him are not condemned, but those who do not believe are condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of the only Son of God. So I was a few verses off. But yes, I saw that and I was like, okay, so basically being condemned for non-belief. So you can be a great person, but if you just are not convinced of the story of Jesus and you don't believe in Jesus, then you are already condemned. And I was like, so going to hell for non-belief, we don't choose our beliefs. We're either convinced of it or we're not.
Well, that's a way to interpret it.
Huh.
That's not exactly what it says. So let me. Do you mind if I like kind of walk you through it?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So in 16 we see that he loved the world, that he gave his son,
only son.
That whosoever sees him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So that's something we don't have, and otherwise, if we did not have the Son, we would perish. Okay. And then it said, and this says, if he didn't send the Son, we would perish. Context clues here, right?
Context clues.
And then it says, for God sent not his son into the world to condemn it. So it's not by him being here and us not believing that we're condemned. It's he sent him so that it might be saved. So
Right.
he's sending him as an option for us. We didn't have an option before. Now we have an option.
Right.
And then in 18, what we have is he that believes on him is not condemned. Okay. And then, but it says he that believeth not is already condemned. So that doesn't mean that you have chosen to, and then that way you are condemned. It's that before Christ is in the picture, you're dead. You're
Right.
going to perish.
You just
right?
went,
And this is
like, in
actually
the
what we
Old
believe.
Testament, you just went to, like, Sheol, right?
Yeah. You would go to Sheol. Well, you still go there today if you're not in belief. Yeah.
Right, unless you're Elijah.
We're
The
actually
prophet
not
prophet
exactly
Elijah,
sure.
he
It-
ascended to
It
heaven.
says that he was. It says he's pulled into heaven, into the heavens
By a whirlwind.
Depending on the way. We're not sure if in that case heavens means the realm or the sky. We don't know.
Right, of course, because, like, you know,
Yeah.
they would use, like, the same. Was it used the same? Did they use
Yeah.
the same word for heavens as sky?
So heaven, because you have
Right.
to consider that we're also looking at a translation. We'd have to go back to like the original Hebrew to really go into it.
That's actually a
But,
spot that I need to. I'm actually curious myself sometime, but we can save
I'm
that for
beginning
another
to
time.
learn it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, I wouldn't know about exactly what the intricacies are with Elijah.
Right, that's fair.
But,
Because then that brings me to John 3:13, where I'm like, you know, it kind of seems like Jesus is misinformed here. You know,
yeah.
putting it the nice way.
Yeah, it's no man had ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven,
The Son of Man.
which is in him. Yeah. So we're just not sure. It could mean the sky. It could. There is an interpretation of what this means. Is that it has something to do with the Greek. I'm not particularly familiar with this line of argument, but I'll just repeat it to you.
Gotcha.
It is that because the Greek that's used here means like a person of their own volition is choosing to ascend and descend, whereas Elijah
I have.
was.
Alrighty. Thank you for watching part 1 of this discussion and debate. ST Cass is a kind guest and will be treated with kindness in return. ST Cass is 34 years old and was awesome enough to consent to being recorded, as well as Neon Grapes, who is 22 years old and is our spectator moth. A very cool moth indeed. Now, I want to ask the audience 2 things. 1. Does the Bible condemn you for non-belief in John 3:18? I'm convinced that it does, and that's not very nice. Number 2, was Jesus misinformed in John 3:13? Because from what I've read, the prophet Elijah was ascended up to heaven in a whirlwind nonetheless, in 2 Kings 2:11. Now, do you agree or disagree with me? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And we will see you for part 2. It's time to turn up the heat. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jestero the Jester, and you have made it to debate part 2. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it and see what's going on.
Like a person of their own volition is choosing to ascend and descend, whereas Elijah.
I have
was
heard
simply
that. I have
taken.
heard that argument.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because,
I don't
like, just from reading it in the English translation, of course, because I do too want to learn more Greek and Hebrew for this. But from just reading it English-wise, it just seems like it's just very clear that no one has ever ascended to heaven except for the one that descended from heaven, the Son of Man, Jesus. So I'm like, but then what about Enoch? Which the prophet Elijah is more clear that Elijah ascended to the heavens. But Enoch, it just kind of like briefly says it.
Yeah. We just don't know.
Yeah, and that's a fair point.
We would have to assume that there's an intricacy here that's at play that we cannot understand without
Right.
some like God shows up and he's like, "Here's what I meant."
Oh, finally, man. Whoa. But check this out. What I want to get down to with the nitty gritty is I want to talk about God's character. And comes back to
Okay.
the question I asked you before we started the recording. If God was evil, would you know it?
Well, that would assume. Okay, so let me put it this way. Let's assume. So
Or
so
unjust.
from this,
Evil, unjust, like, just bad all over across the table. Would you know it?
so hold on. Is my mic picking up? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
Cool. So there's a couple of like suppositions that we have to make to get to this point, which is the first thing that we have to agree on is that we're talking from in the framework of the Bible, right?
Yes,
Or
correct.
if we're talking outside the Bible, that's a whole different can of worms. Right?
Bro, yeah, then that's
Yeah.
like an infinite void. So let's keep it in the
Yeah.
Bible.
Okay, so within the Bible, we're basically explained that not only does God literally predestine everything that can happen, He's eternal. He knits us together in our mother's womb. He can change our hearts, our minds, everything. So if there was anything that we would consider as good, and good in this case would basically definitionally be, not like Webster's definition, but like logically speaking, what we
Yeah.
would derive as that good.
Yeah, what
is,
we can agree upon. Yeah, like definition wise.
we would say that God would always present Himself as the thing that is like the good, right? That everything that we would desire would be God. Okay. So then basically where we would go is, can we then perceive this entity that can control all of us as evil while we have proper faith in Him if He doesn't allow us to do so? So that's an interesting kind of thing there. Basically, I would argue that if you have the perception that God is evil, my question then would be, how do you say that God is evil when evil would be defined as an absence of God within the paradigm that is Bible, right?
Right.
Because
so
that doesn't. Yeah, what do you mean? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I did cut you off. My bad. So
No, you got it.
whenever I'm doing a critique of like the God character in the Bible, I compare it to as if I were to do a critique on the villain in Harry Potter. I could be like, let me
Okay.
read this book, and okay, obviously Harry Potter is the good guy, and he who shall not be named is the evil character. This is based on the evidence, based on the actions of this character. So yeah, so basically I take that as well as going into the Bible and see, okay, let's see, I want to get, and this is during a time when I was a Christian, let me get to know God. So I read it, and to be honest, for transparency, I have not read the full Bible. So I'm still on a journey
Okay.
of reading the whole Bible. I still have a hefty amount of books to read through, but I don't want to pretend that I'm this all-knowing anti-Bible dude, because I'm not, because I don't get
Okay.
everything right. So but from what I have read, from the lenses that I currently have at this moment, I do not agree with the God character. I see the God character as an evil character, as a person that's a monster, or a deity that's a monster. And if this God does
Okay.
exist, it's not worthy of worship. That is my perception. I've had this
Okay.
perception for a good amount of years, but especially since this last August when I really got into studying it.
All right. Okay. I mean, I obviously take the opposite approach.
Of course.
Did you want to get into that, or do you want to
Yes.
like talk about that at all?
Yeah, do you have any questions for me of why I would see it this way?
Well, I mean, I've heard a lot of arguments from
Same.
various people. Usually, it goes into slavery, which
That's what started it
there's
for me.
that. the whole topic we could get into.
Mhm.
Usually it's a misconception about what's written about slavery.
Yeah, and even
and
even
then-
even atheists can have misconceptions, and even Christians can have misconceptions about it.
Yeah, for sure. I just hope that like I hope we all can keep learning. And
Agreed.
when we're wrong, we can like be like, oh, cool, I was wrong. Now I know. You know.
Yeah, that's
So
why I'm having
that's
this
a good thing.
discussion with you, because I was like, this is a level-headed dude, and you're cool too, Neon.
I think that like
Woo!
well, first of all, I'd like to say that here's the one thing to think about as well, because the Bible says that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the light. And if you seek the truth and Christ is real, then you will eventually end up back at Christ. So if that's what you want, then I think you will find it. But we shall see. You know,
We shall see, and you never know where
Yeah,
your journey will take you either.
right. So back to the morality of God. So
A fun one.
we have to kind of go outside of like the paradigm within the Bible that God is like the exemplar of what good is in order to do this. But basically, to continue with what I was saying, is that a lot of the arguments will also come into what is like the purposes of certain specific Levitical laws,
Right.
certain Deuteronomy laws, and then also the attempted genocide of the Amalekites, which didn't happen, but
Right,
that's
and
a
yeah, that's
whole separate thing.
That is a whole separate thing, and I want to ask you real quick, because I
Yeah.
definitely want you to continue, but I am curious. Do you agree with, like, are the laws that God gave in the Bible? You know how many commandments there are?
So if you take out all the laws, it's about 613.
It is
that you have to
613.
follow as a standard Christian. However, a lot of people don't understand that a lot of these things are
Alrighty, folks, thanks for watching part 2 of this debate. We will have part 3 coming in a lot sooner than part 2 did, I assure you. But thank you for your patience, everybody. Also, the world that I'm currently in is called the Snowy Zen Garden, created by the fake Kyle, is what their name is. And I really like this world. I like the artwork style of it. It is pretty nifty indeed. And I'm going to be showcasing different worlds each time that I do an intro and outro. All right. Well, everybody have a good morning, afternoon, and night, and we will see you for part 3. See ya. Hello, everybody. It's your host, Jestero the Jester. And for this video, we are now made it into debate part 3. Now, we're just gonna get right into it, but yes, I would like to introduce this world. I'm sure it already looks familiar to some of you, but this is actually the Ocarina of Time, Zelda. Started off at the Nintendo 64, and it's one of my personal favorite video games of all time. Definitely making it in the top 50. But pretty well made. There's even a friggin' chicken. But yes, anyways, let's go ahead and get right back into that debate. Here we go. Okay, let's... I got something special for you. And you! Okay, bolt action. Excellent. Okay. This, I could have gotten better weapons. Oh shit, wait a second. Oh no! I gotta get back to my debate! I don't have time for this! Oh, no, I didn't cock it right! Woo! Bring it on! Oh, alright. Let's go ahead and get back to that debate. You know how many commandments there are?
So if you take out all the laws, it's about 613.
It is
that you have to
613.
follow as a standard Christian. However, a lot of people don't understand that a lot of these things are specifically for judges, and you do not have to follow the Levitical laws that are specifically laid down for judges unless you are a judge.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's a separate. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've already have like a whole board of like, okay, here's a point here we can talk about for 30 minutes. Here's a point. Okay, so
Yeah. We'll just talk.
check this out.
Okay.
Do you think that God created just laws, or do you disagree with some of the laws that God has created?
I don't think that God's laws are meant to illustrate justice. I think that they're meant to illustrate. Okay, so if you read the Bible,
So did
it's
God
very
make
clear,
any
especially-
unjust laws?
Um,
Like from your perspective?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that
An
I would
honest
call any of
answer.
them unjust.
Yeah, an honest
I would
answer.
say that it appears that the laws that he created were just for the time.
Mhm.
But I don't know that is the case like now,
Gotcha.
based upon a perceived morality that would have to exist outside the Bible, right?
But for real
Because if we're
though,
in the Bible, then it's just yes, they're just, you know.
W to this guest right here because he's humble. That's all. That's what makes good conversation too. Okay. Sorry, I had to talk to my audience.
Hi, audience.
The audience that's currently not here. But anyways, okay,
They'll
so
be there.
I like that. Yeah, my 11 fuse. But anyways, so check
I
this
like
out.
it.
Yeah, gotta start somewhere. But okay. So if I talk to you about the laws,
Okay.
I'm actually curious to see what you do think about it. And also, Neon, what's it called? Before we get into it a little bit more, like, was there something you wanted to chime in with at all? Like, do you have a question for either of us?
Well, not typically. No, not right now. No, I'm getting understand. I did have questions, but as you guys discussed, I kind of answer them for themselves.
Oh, well, that's
So,
tight.
I'm,
But yeah,
I'm,
you are welcome to have a question, though, if you
oh my
want.
goodness.
I'm being followed.
I'm just in a sense just spectating a little.
You're just present.
and-
Present in the moment.
I am present and I'm spectating because, and then the commandments y'all just said, the 140. I was like, whoa.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
613.
Or
613.
613.
There you go.
Yes.
613. I didn't know that. I did.
Yeah,
when you
bro.
said commandments, I honestly I only know very little basic stuff, and I did only do because
That's why we have
I
these
did my
conversations, though. Because, like,
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
feel
learning
safe upstairs anymore.
check this out. The first debate that I ever had was actually here.
Okay.
Like, moderated.
Nice.
We actually had a Satanist moderate us. Okay, folks, I want to take a quick intermission to introduce you to a friend of mine. Remember that satanic moderator I was just mentioning? Well, we're about to meet him. Summon. Oh, I guess it didn't work. Whoa, there they are. This is Oblivious Reason. Hello.
Hello.
All right, Oblivious Reason has their own TikTok channel. They do live shows and they also post some videos too. Very entertaining to watch. So thank you for joining me, my friend.
Of course, anytime.
All right, now back to the debate, everybody. See you, Oblivious.
Bye.
Okay.
But,
Cool.
what's it called? It was me and a Catholic. This Catholic's name is Wolf, a very respectful dude as well. He's one of my friends. If you see a Lego Spider-Man running around here, that's Wolf.
I may have met him.
All right, cool. If I talk to you about a commandment, we're going to go ahead. My first debate that I ever had was about slavery in the Bible. And I was on the side where God does endorse slavery. And my Catholic opponent said that God does not endorse slavery. And we had a 2.5-hour debate about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are. So what basically I would say is that what you see is in the Old Testament, there are a set of like slavery was just a thing that happened, and he said, okay, here's some rules for it. Of like you can't just be like committing atrocities for these people. Also, something to consider is that chattel slavery is not the type of slavery that's being talked about here. It's either a slavery of
in the laws,
like
right?
a conquered people.
Right,
Yes.
like it's chattel slavery is not in there at all, right?
Chattel slavery was not the norm back then, is what I'm saying.
Right, but did God command or did God write laws for chattel slavery?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I could be wrong. But not that
Humble
I've
point.
read. What we do see is that later, especially once we get to Paul, there's a very clear call that there is neither Jew nor Greek nor slave nor free in God.
No male, no female, yeah.
So if you have faith in God and you say, I want to live a godly life, I want to do this, then you cannot see a person as a slave.
Or a
You
male
have to
or a
see them
female.
as, yeah, correct. They're just your family in Christ.
Trans rights.
They're Well, I would just say that everybody is part of our family in Christ, right? Like if you have faith, then they're part of it. And anybody that doesn't have faith, hey, we're just here the door's open.
A respectful approach, honestly. But what I don't see is the respect that is given, especially during Moses' time after leaving Egypt. After God killed all the firstborn, and then he's like, okay, that's the last one. I'm done showboating. Get out of Egypt, guys. So what happens is you go to Exodus 21, and we start with Exodus 21, 2 through 6. And he's like, okay, this is talking about, debt servitude.
All right, let's read it.
It's talking about debt servitude. So this is not talking about chattel slavery.
Debt servitude. Okay.
Yeah.
So
which is definitely a norm.
And
definitely a norm back then in the ancient Near East, because they had all sorts of law codes. Are you familiar with the law code of Hammurabi?
Yes. The Lex Talionis. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I like that word. I love Lex Talionis, which does not happen in Exodus 21 verses 26 through 27. I think it's about the tooth and the eye. But anyways, I don't want to jump around too much. But anyways, Exodus 21 2 through 6.
If thou buy a Hebrew servant,
and also let me just say
serve.
this real quick. I want to be specific. It starts off as debt servitude, but please go ahead.
Okay. If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Okay. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Okay.
Which is just like an ear piercing. There will be people that are on where I would be on this side, and they'd be like, yeah, they just drilled a hole into his ear. And I'm like, no, it's not really that big of a deal. It's just like an ear piercing.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that does it for debate part 3. Thank you for watching, and let me ask the audience something. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if you think that God's laws are all just, or if there's a mixture of God creating just and unjust laws. And also, question number 2, what do you think about Exodus 21, verse 2 through 6? Well, that does it for today. Good morning, afternoon, and night, everybody. I'm your host, Jestro the Jester, and we'll see you next time. See ya! So that's what I told him. The God of the Bible is pro-slavery. Oh, nice. What was that? My intro. Oh, my intro. Okay, we'll talk later. We'll get back to this. Okay. Find a carpet. You look nice. Let's go. Yeah. Woo. Ooh, okay. And crash landing. Where am I? There I am. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jestero the Jester, and we have now made it into debate part 4. Yes. And with this debate, it starts to turn up the heat, which I really like. And ST Cass is an excellent debate partner. Again, I will say this. We even spoke recently, actually, and continue to have more debates and discussions. Let's get right into it, though. Let's see what that gentleman's got. Yeah, they just drilled a hole into his ear. I'm like, no, like, okay. Real quick, I want to actually take a moment and tell you that in order to understand the context of the conversation, it might be important, it is important that you watch the videos beforehand. Since this is debate part 4, we want to make sure that we understand what's happening in this conversation. That way we can get more of ST Cass's side and more of my side if you're interested. Or you could just jump right into this video and try to figure it out. But yes, Christians and non-Christians will agree that when it comes to the Bible, context matters. Okay, back to the video. Thank you. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just like an ear piercing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so
Yeah.
reading that, do you smell any issues with that?
Well,
That I could see.
I mean,
Like, that you would think that I would be looking at.
I'm assuming that there's going to be a issue about him like staying in the slavery and the idea of him giving him a wife.
Yeah, so there's that part, because Exodus 21 verse 7 through 11 actually like kind of like explains like how a master could give the slave a wife. But check this out. Also, if you saw when you were reading it, it says that and if the master gives the slave a wife and she bears some children, then the wife and the children will not go out because they are property of the masters. And right there, that is chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is just about owning a person as property with no rights. Like, you're done.
You said that there were specifically a set of rules for giving the wife to them? What that would be?
So what it
Where was that
explains is Exodus, just like the next verse, leading next one, which is 7 through 11, where it talks about when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she may not go out as the male slaves do. So basically, there is like, once the daughter is sold as a slave, like that's it. Can be as a wife or a concubine or even. And it doesn't always, like, people will make this extra, like, try to put extra evil emphasis on this. And sometimes, like, the daughter sold as a slave will just be one that works, that does, like, making fabrics and all that stuff, and not sold as a sex slave. But also sex slaves.
I mean, if that was the case, then they would likely be pulled before the Sanhedrin and like stoned for that. They likely would not have gotten away with that.
But it would. But no,
sorry.
God would...
Someone, what's up?
Yeah, no,
debt slavery. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Slave serving. Okay, yeah. But okay,
we know that we're talking about the extra nuanced slavery parts.
Right. It's weird. I
without knowing what the. Without knowing what the exact, did you mention what the verses are of like what the conditions are to give a man a wife?
Oh yeah, no, like, and this is the thing with this is that God's cool with it, and I'm not, and like just based on the evidence, especially I believe it's in Numbers 31 verse 17. That's a bad spot.
Numbers
31:17.
Okay.
But before we jump to that, you can go ahead, turn your book to it. But I do want to touch on this spot. with Exodus 21 verse 2 through 6, I have a problem with this because one, like, this male Hebrew slave is getting manipulated into staying a slave for life. Because what man would want to, like, as you have a life with your wife and you even have children with them, like, you're free to just go out, but you know that your wife and the children are property of the masters, and they can't go out free. Now,
Okay.
of course, I will say this, like, there is a progression in this law later on, but, like, at this moment in time of the Moses journey, this I have a problem with. It does have a progression in Deuteronomy and in Leviticus as well, where the Hebrews are treated as hired laborers and all that stuff. But right here, at this point in time, I have a problem with this law. I see it as an unjust law.
So what we're seeing here is the very start of these laws as they're going through the desert. We do see them progress later, like you said. Like they're tightening the noose around slavery, as it were. Bad metaphor, but whatever. You get the idea.
Yeah.
God forbid. But the point is that we do eventually get into the New Testament, which is current, which is today. Which is
and it also never
basically saying, hey,
it never condemns
the
slavery.
entire Atlantic slave trade should have never happened. Well, the problem is this: it doesn't need to, like, directly condemn it if you are faithful. If you are faithful and you read and it says there is no slave nor free in God, and you say that this person is my brother, then why would you?
Right, you're talking about Galatians
stuff your
3:28
brother into. I mean, it's in one of Paul's letters. We could look it up.
I think that is Galatians 3:28. Because then you would also have to get rid of gender as well too, because it says neither male nor female.
Yeah.
So trans rights.
The thing.
All right, just wanted to take a moment to say Happy Pride Month, everybody. I just now stumbled into this world. It is a Pride Month 2026 world. And just wanted to say that real quick. And I saw this. This looks interesting and very important. Comes with a hotline number and everything and a website. Okay. And yes, the main message, you are not alone. I agree with this message. Pretty cool world. All right. Back to the debate.
The thing that we're looking at here is we're looking at a slow progression out of the horrors of this society into, like, what we have, a better representation of, like, what we have today.
Right.
And what we should still be striving towards, peace,
this,
love, the fruit of the spirits that we talked about.
These commandments are, like, from my standpoint, are just propaganda, being like, hey, God said this, and you better follow. Because with this, like, do you have okay, let's fact check this. Do you have a personal problem with having a person, like, if this little moth was your slave for life, do you have an issue with that? Do you have a problem with Neon being your personal slave for the rest of Neon's life?
Well, I would just free him.
Right, because you wouldn't have him as a slave to begin with.
Well, I mean, I might have him help me clean up my house, and then I'd free him.
Yeah, you gotta earn it, buddy. Holy cow!
Grab that broom. Hey, I'll grab it with you, though.
Oh
but
my
I'll free you, buddy. You know what I mean?
Holy cow!
I would not keep a slave. No, because as we're called to do in the current, that's not a thing that we should do ever.
Right.
And that, yeah,
especially called, like, because besides that spot, which it doesn't help that spot, which it's a nice spot, because I see what you're saying. People who were fighting against slavery probably used Galatians 3:28.
Yeah, the abolitionists.
Yes. Yeah. But then there were people that were using what I was talking about in
the slave Bible.
Yes, but they also
Yep.
took out like 90% of the Old Testament, especially the Exodus story. Yeah, that was horrible. But they would use the regular Bible to be like, yeah, this is the will of the Almighty Creator. That's actually in the Declaration of Secession of Texas. And
Yeah, that makes sense if it was
1861. I think it was 1861.
6,000 years ago.
Yeah. But there were Christians that were like, yeah, slavery's cool. And there were Christians that were like, no, we're going to fight this shit.
Yeah,
Because
and
of
the
different
latter half I
interpretations.
would identify with.
Of course, of
Well,
course.
The first half, I would say they're an embarrassment, frankly.
Yes, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, because if you read the Bible, which you have,
Mhm.
you cannot say that God never endorsed slavery, like never had approval of the system of slavery.
Right. It's more of a thing that, like, God is showing you that this is the way it was, and then now, no. Stop.
Right, but so check this out. Could he? Well, he actually never says stop. Neither does Jesus. Jesus even kind of encourages, like, yeah, that you should keep treating your slave
Can I
like
ask
this.
you how you could how could you, like, look at what was done to the African slaves, the Native
Yes.
American slaves, the Mexican slaves, and say and then tell me that their owners loved them like Jesus did.
Right? Yeah, they probably didn't.
And if we're
They were probably better. They were probably
are,
better, like masters, like treating it in better ways. But then it didn't matter. They
well,
were
how
still
could you say that
property.
you love them if you say that you can't own a person? God owns you, right? And if you own a person, that's an affront to God.
Well, God, if
yeah.
you look at Paul's letters as well too, he's like, slaves, obey your masters, even those that
Yes.
treat you harshly. But
Yes.
but masters also treat your slaves nicely.
Correct. Yeah. Well, because what we see here, what's
Still not
happening
condemning
is
slavery.
he knows. Right, and then he goes to say that there is no difference in the eyes of the Lord. So if we are truly faithful, right, and if we are to love people like Christ does, right, then there cannot be a difference in our eyes between slave and free, which means we'd have to logically assume that we could never treat somebody the way that any of them were treated. We could never own a person if we love them the way that Christ loves us.
This is for
It's
you,
not
Dr.
allowed.
Josh. This is for you. Therefore, what? Since I brought him up, I wanted to tell y'all about Dr. Joshua Bowen. Dr. Josh is a specialist in the Hebrew Bible and ancient Near Eastern literature. For more information about Dr. Josh, head over to the website digitalhammurabi.com. Check out what they have to offer as far as books, courses, videos, and more. Learn about Dr. Josh and Megan Lewis, too. She's a super excellent Assyriologist as well. Now I'm going to show you a small clip from the Deep Drinks podcast on YouTube. David McDonald has many fantastic videos on his platform, and this one featuring Dr. Josh stood out to me. It's titled, "This Apologist is Lying to Millions: The Truth About Slavery in the Bible." Let's take a look.
They remember this question. Therefore, what? If people can remember to ask the question, therefore, what? It will help them go so far in these discussions. So let's try it here. He's just pointed out Exodus 21:16, right? Which says if you steal somebody to subject them to slavery, it's a free person, by the way. If you steal them and subject them to slavery, sell them, you have them in your hand, trying to sell them, whatever, you get killed, right? It's illegal to kidnap people to subject them to slavery, right? Guess what? It was illegal everywhere in the ancient Near East to do that. Hello? Anybody home? Like, so, but let's forget all that for a second. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's just in the Hebrew Bible. And the Hebrew Bible is brand new, and it says, hey, it's illegal to kidnap people and subject them to slavery. Therefore, what? Because the answer to that question, if you ask that to Cliff, therefore what? His answer is going to have to be, I guess this makes slavery okay. right? Because, well, I mean, you can't kidnap people and subject. Yeah, but then the text says that you can have slaves. Yeah, but it says that you can't kidnap them and subject a free person to slavery, and that's the death penalty. Therefore, what, Cliff? So there's no slavery? Like, is that the point that you're trying to make? Because, like, the next set of verses talks about what to do with your slave. Like, so, but it's that question. So when apologists come to you and say, well, if a slave runs away, then you can't return him. Let's just assume for the sake of argument that is a reasonable argument. It's not. Therefore, what? So it's okay to have the slave as long as they can be freed if they run away? It's okay to subject somebody to slavery and take away their personal freedom if they have the opportunity to run away and be freed? That's your argument? Oh, after 6 years, they have to be freed. Therefore, what? So if somebody is freed after 6 years, then it's okay to enslave them for those 6 years? Is that what you're saying? Like, just remember that question back. Therefore, what? And make them actually finish the thought and defend their position. Because what they want to do is what Cliff is doing now. And that's to say, like, look, it's not as bad. I heard somebody do this today, and then I'll shut up. But I heard somebody do this today talking about the Deuteronomy 21:10-14 passage, which talks about taking a captive bride, right? And they're talking about what they have to be given a whole month to mourn, and the guy just can't just go in and have sex with her immediately, and if he puts her away, he can't just sell her to a foreign people. Therefore, what? It was okay to take a captive bride under duress, right? Without her consent. It's okay to go in and have sex with her and make her your wife without her. That's okay, as long as if you don't like the way she's having sex with you, that you can put her out, but you can't sell her. Like, is that what you're really arguing? Like, come on.
Yeah.
The whole video is worth the watch, and I will have a link to it in my description. But all right, time to get back to the debate.
Oh, well, therefore, like, what we see is that, like, slavery is wrong, and we need to, like...
Which I really like your perception on this, I do. But did that perception get rid of slavery after Paul's letters in Galatians?
No, well, okay, let me try to illustrate this.
The Institute of Slavery was still very rampant, and even Pope Nick... No, check this out. There was actually... I forget who it was. I don't think it was August. No, there was just a bishop that was in, like, a high rank, like an archbishop that was fighting against slavery. He was like... And this is like in the 1500s. He was like, hey, this is not what God wanted. Like, this needs to stop. I'm going to fight this. And I was like, props to you, Catholic Church. But then you get, like, a little bit later to Pope Nicholas V, where he wrote the papal bulls that was like, yeah, enslave those Africans, because, like, the non-Christian Africans, because we need to manipulate them into our way of believing and owning them as slaves. Now, I want you to fact check me on that too. Pope Nicholas V, papal bulls on slavery.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but just check it out, just to check it out too, like, for just the sake of research.
Yeah, I eventually will. I'm going through the history of the Catholic Church in my studies right now.
Oh, excellent.
But yeah, yeah. So I guess the best way to kind of get this to be understood, let me just illustrate a point here. So
go ahead.
Slavery's still around today. A third of the slaves in the world are sex slaves. A third of those are children. Slavery has not been abolished. In fact, I live in Florida, and that is like I think it's like number 3
sex trafficking
in the world of sex trafficking. Yes. So,
and I'm in Texas, so they got like that whole like I-40, like, and it's bad with sex trafficking. Which
the point I'm making with this is that even though this is an evil, horrible thing, and it is, especially with the way that it's being done now, there's nothing like there's no like salvation, like saving like part of this. Well, it helps them get better. That's not the case, not anymore, for certain now, right? We could have like a little like, oh well, in Exodus it's for their own good, da da da. But that's not the case for sure now. But what we do see is that there are going to be punishments for people who do these things and do not repent from these things and do not stop this evil, and that's a good thing.
Well, that's all we have for today, folks. Yes, I am riding on this magic carpet again. So friggin' fun. And I also wanted to give a shout out to this Egypt map to Deriviere. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. But it looks like, I might be mistaken, but it looks like they're also providing the music. I mean, it's just a hint. You know? But yeah, let me just look around. These things move. Oh yeah, let's see. Whoa! Whoa! Jesus, so fun. But all right. Let's pop down for a second. I really want to see more from this map. This is fun. But let me just get my good old trusty mirror out real quick. And pop. There we go. A little late on saying pop, but anyways. Okay. So, what do you think, audience? Do you think God is pro-slavery or not? I leave that up to you to decide. Did God endorse slavery or not? Let me know in the comments, and we will see you for the next part. That will be part 5. Alright, see ya! I could use... This is a nice church. I could use this church for material. Let's see what this church has. Oh, that's cute. Oh no. That was so bad. I'm out of here. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am your host, Jestro the Jester, and we have made it to debate part 5. Wanted to choose this world because this is one of the worlds that I first saw when I started doing VR chat. It's called the Gothic Loft. Well, except for this world, it's called Gothic World, but this is the Gothic Loft. And it is a very peaceful place that I very much enjoy. And there's little grabbables. Look at that little guy. But this is the last part of the debate. We have made it to the finale. So thank you all for watching up to this point, and let's go ahead and get right into it.
And that's a good thing. And if they're not treating, if they happen to have slaves and they're mistreating them, oh boy, God's going to come down on them.
Well,
I mean,
God, it would help if God came down and took care of them now. But of course, that's a separate issue because that even can be like outside the Bible. But let's, we're gonna stay inside this bookie book. So, what I want you to turn to, because God is cool. It says that God is cool with you beating your slave as long as they don't die. But if they do die after a day or two, then you're not to be punished. That is Exodus 21.
Is that in Exodus?
Yeah, it's the same chapter. Exodus 21, verse 20 through 21. That little Jestero history, that is actually the verse that started my deconstructing. Because I saw that and I'm like, I can't rationalize this. I can't agree with this. I don't agree with God. Like, I don't want to be a Christian anymore if I'm like called to believe in this. And so, yeah, that is actually what started my journey of deconstructing from Christianity. Just that one verse. And then I was like, well, I have much more to read. I have to give this a fair chance. I did not give it a fair chance when I first deconstructed. So I have been studying it avidly. And the more I read it, the further away I get from it, the more I deconstruct.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Just so that we have context about what happens to so what this is a small group of people that have been led into a desert, and these are laws that are like trying to keep them in the faith, right?
And
then
when
what we
does
see
God
happen
say
over
that?
time,
How long should these people follow these laws for?
it's eternal.
It's a what?
Yeah. It's eternal.
Yes, exactly.
But what you don't understand is that laws are not meant to. We could get into that in a minute. But what ends up happening to these people is they literally start sacrificing children to like horrible deities, and then later there is a point where a specific tribe of them is chosen, because God was literally going to kill them all and start again. And then a tribe was chosen.
Flood 2.0.
Yeah. And a tribe was chosen out of them, and that tribe went through and killed men, women, and children through the entirety of the group.
Hmm.
So, just saying, like, the whole point of this, where this ends up, is that you cannot, even by the strictest possible laws, maintain goodness. And that was the whole point of this.
So you would say that God is not all good.
Well, I would say that the laws are not meant to illustrate goodness. The laws are meant to show you that it is impossible for you to be good, which is what we learn in Christianity.
Well, not necessarily, because even like when I talked about the progression of the laws, it comes from where I was having a problem with the laws. But then you go to Leviticus 25 verses 39 through 43.
25. All right, let's read it.
Leviticus 25 verse 39 through 43.
Okay, and if thy brother that dwelleth with thee be waxen poor and sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as a hired servant, and as a sojourner. He shall be with thee, and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his father shall he return, for they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. Shall not be sold as bondman, thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear thy God. Yeah.
You see that progression?
And worth pointing out that this specifically, the Levites are the tribe that are the ones that are spared. And so we see that this is now like the way that this is followed.
Yeah, for
this
your fellow
applies to
Israelites,
all of them.
they are no longer to be treated as bondservants, just hired laborers. Like, so it's like, don't beat them.
Correct.
Like, they are your brothers in God. And
Right,
sisters.
so
And
what we've
sisters, too,
seen
because they
is-
included women in that. Because, like, Exodus 21...
It's not even just a...
Oh, Exodus 21, like, women were seen as lesser. But then when you get to, I believe it was Deuteronomy 20, 10 through 14. I may be incorrect. That might be the captive bride. Because I have a lot of verses in my head. But what's it called? There's even progression in there because it mentions male and female Hebrew slaves go in 6 years, leave on the 7th. And that includes the females in that. So there is even a progression in Deuteronomy. But when you go to Leviticus, it's saying no more treat them like harshly or with rigor. They are to be treated as hired laborers.
Yes. So, and because this is the only surviving tribe, what we see is that this is now the law. So the Exodus laws are not applying now because this is now the amendments that are made specifically for the tribe of Levi.
Right, amendments,
which is the only surviving. Yeah, these are the only surviving ones. So this is now the law, right? You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so it's a permanent progression that has to happen. And then as we progress further, but that goes all the way up to the end of the Old Testament. And then you get to the New Testament, and now it's cool, you're done.
Well, you're not done owning slaves. Like you can still have slaves. It makes it clear very often. Luke 17.
I would really love to see how you could love someone with agape love and keep them as a slave.
Agreed.
And that is the love that we're called. You cannot say that you're a Christian and agape somebody, love them unconditionally.
Are you saying
agape.
that Jesus wasn't okay with slavery?
What I'm saying is that you cannot love somebody the way Jesus told us to, and
and
keep
have a slave?
slaves.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that thinking. But you're still in
Slavery's not
Leviticus
love.
25?
We would agree.
You still in Leviticus 25?
Yeah.
Read 44 through 46, please. This is the juicy one.
Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you, and of them shall you buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall you buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And you shall take them as inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever, but over your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule one over another with rigor. Yeah, okay.
And this is where I'm like, okay. Because I read 25 verse 39 through 43,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, cool. It looks like a progression happened. Hired laborers, no longer slaves. Awesome. But then when we get to 44 through 46, this is permanent chattel slavery from the nations around you, or those, even in your translation, the children that
Right.
sojourn in your land. They can be your property for life, but just don't rule over your fellow Israelites with harshness. This is an unjust law that God has given to Moses to give to the Israelites.
No, this is a completely just law. I'll explain. First of all,
Owning
you
a
buy them.
person
So they'd
as
have-
property for
Well,
the
let me-
rest of their life is a just law.
Well, let me make the case.
Yes,
'Cause
sir.
I don't agree with that. However, what it leads to, I agree with. So we'll make the case real quick. So first of all, we have to buy. There's a stipulation there, so they have to be selling. Okay. But the second part of this, you would have to go back to Genesis to understand what this means. So if you have servants in your house and you are a descendant of Abraham, which you would be if you're Levite, you get them into the covenant with God. So if you're buying from the Gentiles, you're actually, anyone that you take as a servant, as a slave, is literally saved. You're saving them. They're actually going to be with you at Abraham's bosom. They are now saved. And not only that, but what does Christ say? He says that servants are actually given the highest position in heaven. So that's the point. Is not only are they doing this thing, they're actually saving them. So if we're
They
talking about
should
eternal,
be grateful for being permanent property. I see.
I highly doubt that they felt that way at the time.
I see. Okay. Well, you know what? What's it called? You are a person that I definitely want to have more conversations with. Because you've helped me learn some things, and I hope that I've helped you learn some things tonight too.
Sure, yeah.
Heck yeah. I am going to go ahead and end this clip because this is going to end on kind of a cliffhanger conversation, But hey, Cass, I really appreciate you having these conversations with me because you're a good dude.
In summary, slavery bad, God good.
In summary,
Don't
slavery
do
bad.
slavery.
Bible God good. That's debatable, everyone. But anyways, that's just the stance I take.
I like
But
him.
Cass, I appreciate you, man. You've been awesome.
Yeah,
You've
I
been an
appreciate
awesome
you.
dialogue.
It's great to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Neon, you've been an awesome spectator, little dude.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm proud to be here.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That's all.
God bless.
Well, that's it, folks. The debate has now officially come to an end. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Next time you see me, it may be in VR chat, it may not be. But you will see me again. The Jester always returns. Well, this has been the Jestero Show, and I'm your host, Jestero the Jester. Appreciate you for watching. We will see you next time. See ya.